Hi there, welcome back to my channel. My name is David and I'm known on the internet as Unity Freedom. So today's topic will be high concentration, the last step in the Buddha's Eightfold Path. So without further ado, I'll be back to talk more about it after this short introduction. So today I'm going to talk about Buddha's Eightfold Path, the last step in the Buddha's Eightfold Path, which is high concentration. So if you look at concentration, we can look at it in another way, which is focus. Because in life, what are we focused on? And so today I'm going to discuss and share my insights on what we often focus on, whereas we should be focusing on the most important thing, which is connection, which is your higher self. So the first question is, I want to ask you, what are you? And who are you? If you look at yourself and you examine yourself, you will see that you have an actual real self that is in you. You might have already felt it for quite some time. It gives you some guidance, some intuition, some knowledge, some wisdom, but it's always in there to help you and guide you, and to help you if you're willing to accept the help. So it's always there inside of you, waiting for you to ask for help. But often, sometimes it comes and goes. It's not always like you would get this help immediately, but it often comes when you fully surrender upon something that you held on so tight, and then help comes along, and then the wisdom comes along, and then you realize, oh, this is something that you have missed. Why didn't I see that? So today I'll talk about the process of how we lost this connection and how can we gain it back, and what should we be focusing on after we got that connection back. So first of all, let me say that our default state is a full connection to our higher self. That is our default state. When we came here, either some of us volunteered to come here to help save Earth. Some of us came here to help Earth to go into the Golden Age. And some of us just decided that coming here, we can learn something that we cannot learn from other planets that we came from. So regardless of what the reasons are when we came here, we came here. We came here with the pretense that we have the ability to help people on Earth. We have the ability to show them the way out of suffering. Because where we came from, there is no suffering. Because where we came from, we're all connected beings. You see, when you're connected to the whole, you imagine when you're connected to the whole, there's really no suffering. Because why would you need to suffer? when you're connected to the whole. Imagine yourself, you have a cell phone. And if you need to make a call to someone, what do you need your cell phone to do? You need your cell phone to make a connection to the internet or to your cell provider. And then you can then make a call to someone. So you need a network connection or cell connection. The same thing with us. Whenever we want to create things on earth to help us make a better life, to express ourselves, we need to connect to the network as well. There is a network on earth. And it's called the interdependent origination. And that network is the Buddha nature. Because everything is a Buddha nature. When you see yourself as a Buddha nature, then everything else you see out there is the Buddha nature. So, because when you see yourself as a connected being, you see everything else as connected, and you don't see the need to struggle, the need to take resources from other people. Because when you're connected to Mother Earth and the energies, you can use the energy to create conditions that favor you. And then when it favors you, helps you, it also helps the whole. Because as a connected being, whatever benefits you benefits the whole. It's not a separate thing. It's not like you benefit, like what you see on earth is certain people, the elite, benefit themselves with so much money, and then we see them as being unaffected by inflation, whereas we're affected by inflation, but they're not affected by inflation, and it seems like they're out of tune. They don't care about what happened to us. So there's two kinds of serving the whole. The one that claim to be serving the whole by saying, I'm going to rid of inflation, I'm going to get rid of suffering and this pain throughout the actions. And there is another serving the whole by you being a connected being and by you raising your self-awareness to a higher level that allows the whole, which is all of us connected together, even though most of us think that we're not connected, we're separate, but in reality we're all connected. It's not an option. The separation is just an illusion. It's just an illusion to give you the feeling of separation, but you're always permanently connected to the whole. It's just many of us chose to separate from this network. And I will describe my experience, how I became separated and then decide to rejoin the network again. So when I first came here as a spiritual being, I had high hopes. I had, maybe I would say it, very unrealistic expectations that I could bring changes to Earth. But I'm sure that many of you listening to this podcast that I'm making would kind of resonate the same way, that you came here to make Earth a better place. You have that good intention to bring what you have, the gifts that you have from where you came from to Earth, because you have certain gifts that will help Earth become a better place, will help Earth transition into the Golden Age. So you came here because you know you can do it. You have the expertise, you can help. You had that sincerity to help. but you don't have the, like myself, I didn't have the experience of what happened when I came here, that the people on earth really don't care about you helping them get out of suffering. But you see them, and I see them as suffering from all kinds of issues that you can see clearly that it's all happening in their minds. But of course, they cannot see it because what happened is that they are in the mind of separation. When you're in the mind of separation, what happens? You're not connected to the network. You're not really connected to the whole. So everything is a struggle because now it's like when your cell phone is not connected to the network, your cell phone struggles because it cannot receive email, it cannot receive text messages, it certainly cannot get on the internet, get on the web server to deliver you news and information that you want. And it certainly cannot go to YouTube to show the video that you want to see because it relies on the network. So now, as a separate being, you have to struggle. You have to struggle to get resources because now you cannot manifest them into the physical because you're no longer connected to the network. You're no longer connected to the Buddha nature. So how can you manifest things through the Buddha nature when you're not connected to the network? So now you struggle and you get frustrated and you think that something is not right, something is not working. Of course, what's not working is that you're not connected. So you're separate. And what causes you to become separate? Because we're all connected beings. It is our default state. So it requires effort to disconnect from the network. Just like your cell phone, it requires effort, well, at least your effort, to disable the Wi-Fi or disable the LTE connection on your phone in order for your phone to be disconnected. Because when you buy your phone, it is set to connect to a cell network. And if it's Wi-Fi, it is set to search for a Wi-Fi connection. So in its default state, even a smartphone behaves like us. Because the smartphone feature function is to connect to a network, to provide all the smart functionalities that you come to expect. But it requires a network. Same thing with us. As a connected being, we must maintain that network connection. And we lose that network connection, then what happens? You have to create your own self-identity. Because you're no longer connected to the network, you don't see your own Buddha nature, which is your higher self, you lost your identity, or you obscure the identity of your higher self, you don't want to have anything to do with it, and you create your own identity, a human identity. And then from that identity, you create your own worldview in your mind, and then your own universe. That you think everything around you has to revolve and have to satisfy your own universe. And that's why people argue, people fight, people try to change other people's minds. Because, hey, if I'm in a universe, everybody else have to revolve around my universe. That means I have to change your mind to align with my universe. Right? I mean, how can I claim myself to be the king of the universe if I don't have people surrounding me aligning to my own universe? So as a separate being, that is often what you will do to try to force other people to align with your universe. But as a connected being, you don't have that pressure. Because as a connected being, you know that you're connected to a network. There are other beings on the network that have unique identities. Just like on the internet, all the devices connected to the network have their own unique IP address. So you don't force other devices to conform to you. You just share the network connection and share the information together. And then I want to send information to another device, I just send it to another device. I don't try to change the other device to align or to clone it to be my device. But in a separate mind, you actually think that you need to clone other people's minds to you. So that's where the struggle comes from. So how do people actually become separated? Because if being a connected being is so great and it's our default state, why would we disconnect from the network? Why would we want to separate from the network and be just a person on the island? It doesn't make sense, doesn't it? I mean, if the benefit is so good, why? Because there are certain beings that felt that they have achieved a certain level of mastery, consciousness, that they think that they are smarter than God. They don't have to listen to God because they have created all these things to the connection, and they have collaborated all themselves to create very elaborate universes and elaborate cities and elaborate creations that they think, oh, they're God, they're smarter than God. And when God says, well, you still have more to grow. What you have accomplished is great, but there are many more things you can accomplish. And so God says, well, you guys, the creation is not the ultimate creation. And of course, these beings, they didn't like what God had to tell them. So these beings decided, well, we don't have to follow God. And we don't have to align with God's views. God is not almighty. He made mistakes too. I think we are the best. We are smarter than God. So they decided to separate from God. And when they separate themselves from God, then they had taken on a certain mindset that they are superior than anyone on the universe, including God. Even though they created that illusion, because even they're separate from God, even they are separated from the presence of God, they're still beings created by God. So there's still that sense of connection. And even those beings who defy God's laws, who separated from God's connection, still have a chance to come back, because every one of us has this little, I would call in the computer sense, a firmware that is a sense of God's connection, God's consciousness, that we know we are part of this network, that we are part of God's creation. That even though we are separated, even though we deny that God ever exists, there is still this thing inside of us that reminds us that no, we are still part of God's creation. And that is this thing inside of us that allows us to reunite with our higher self. Even though we're separated from our higher self, we can follow a path to reunite with our higher self. And that path is the Eightfold Path that Buddha created 2,500 years ago. Jesus also created a similar path. It's called the Christhood path, that allows us that even though we're lost, was separated, there is still this little presence inside of us that help us realize that we're not separate beings, we are connected beings. So these are the beings we call the fallen beings because they fell from the consciousness of oneness to a consciousness of separation. And then after that, they pull everyone down who don't have the experience of the consciousness of separation. They don't know that the trap that or the trauma that these beings would put you under to cause you to choose separation, at least for a temporary existence, for a temporary period of time. So now I came to help Earth. I was very enthusiastic. I have this expectation that I'm going to help Earth, help the people on Earth overcome the suffering. But I didn't have any idea that there are fallen beings. There are beings that are set to traumatize people like us who came here for good intentions, but they want to traumatize us so that Earth stays their domain. That they want to punish people who help or work for God. That they shouldn't be here. They're not invited. They should be traumatized and they should be converted and submitting to these beings' demand. So I came. And of course, the first things that what I do is, as a connected being, is what? You express your divine oneness to the people on Earth. Now, of course, you would think that, oh, these people would just accept my expression. Who wouldn't want to listen to oneness? Who would want to listen to someone who brings ideas how to get out of separation? But as I express in my many past lives, I came to realize that many people just don't really care. Say, what are you talking about oneness? Separation is great. Oh, I get to kill someone. I get to harass someone. I get to have the power, the power to sit at the top of the throne by harassing people, by killing people, by putting people in misery. But they don't realize that they are too suffering because they have to keep up with this game. Otherwise, they cannot sit on the throne, right? Because if you're separate, you always feel that threat from other people who's going to take away your throne, take away your seat at the palace, because you create your own palace, that you're the center of the universe. But then you are aware that other people are also around you that want to take away your accomplishments. So you feel threatened. So you have to defend your throne. You have to defend your fortress. And this is the mind of separation. You're never at peace because you always felt threatened by other people out there to take away your throne. But when I came as a connected being, I said, well, you don't have to defend your own throne because we're all connected. If we're all connected, I'm not going to take away your throne and you're not going to take away my throne because if we're connected, the moment you try to take away my individuality, then what happens? The universe returns the favor and take away your individuality. So immediately you realize, oh, that's just not the right way to do it, not the God's way of doing it. So I came and I expressed many, and I got many rejections, very severe rejections. And I was able to just, be non-attached and not care about the rejections. But eventually it ate up inside of me. Why is it people are rejecting my expression of oneness? Why is it people are really getting away, like running away from me? Like I see the things that people are suffering. I'm just doing my thing, just trying to help these people. But every time I try to help, I see the dynamic of your struggle. As my gift, I see the dynamic of your struggle. But I come and try to help you realize it, see it. But instead of expecting that you will be grateful for me helping you see your struggle, you instead rejected me. And then for these fallen beings, they don't care, they don't understand about oneness, but they do understand about threat. You are just a threat, and just like any other threat. You bring this oneness, they don't understand what oneness is anymore because they're so deeply ingrained in the sense of separation. So these fallen beings traumatized me, tortured me, traumatized me. And then there are 3 phases of how these fallen beings put you down and then get you to submit. So when I express myself, my creativity as a connected being, I bring new ideas and new revelations, new insights from above. And then it flows down below, and then it appears in the physical through my speech. So, of course, as a connected being, I don't see any sense of separation. But when I express it to certain people who are threatened by my expression, one of the things they will do is they traumatize you. They say, you're wrong. And what do you mean by that? You're wrong on your expression. Well, they would compare your expression to their own created standard. As a separate being, because you're separate from other people, you create your own standard. What is the standard that you deem as accepting? So you create a standard, and okay, if somebody says this way and it meets your standard, you let them go. You leave them alone. But if these people, they say something that does not conform to your standard, then you are a threat. To them, you said something wrong, you have violated their standard, it does not conform to their standard, and then what do? They would ridicule you, they would shame you, they would do everything to get what? To do what? To get you to apologize to them. But you're actually not apologizing to them. You are only apologizing to the standard that they created in their mind. Because as a connected being, there is only one standard, God's standard. There is no separate standard. Even if you don't meet God's standard, God doesn't come down and punish you. It simply wants you to learn so that you will come back to God's standard. There is no punishment. There's always encouragement and guidance provided by God's helpers, which I call ascended masters. They're here to help all of us. But they're not here to punish us, to say, oh, you've broken the standard, it's your fault, you must apologize. No, these beings, they understand that you will make mistakes. And when you express without the highest potential, they understand that you are at the level of consciousness which you cannot express at the highest potential of oneness. But they won't blame you because they want to encourage you to continue to raise your sense of self-awareness so you can eventually express oneness at the highest potential. So for God's helpers, the ascended masters, they always encourage us. But for the fallen beings, one mistake that you made the mistake on expressing oneness. So one mistake So one mistake that you express oneness that does not conform to that standard, guess what? Oh, they pounce at you. They say, oh, you made a mistake. Oh, it's a bad mistake. Oh, let us correct you. You made a mistake on how you express. Now we demand that you apologize to us. But really, are you apologizing them? No, you're actually apologizing that you violated their standard, whatever standard that they define on earth. So now your expression of oneness, which is a pure expression of oneness, it may not be the highest potential expression, but it is nonetheless an expression of oneness. So when you express that oneness, you just become a pure conduit from above, from a higher source. And you don't express it to conform to any standard. So you just express it. But when you express it in the physical, and these beings who have that sense of separation, who are in the separate mindset, they all have different standards. And when they listen to you, they're actually judging your expression based on their standard. If your expression aligns with their standard, everything is fine. But if your expression does not align with their standard, everything is not fine. And they will make every attempt to correct you to conform to their standard. And how do they do that? By first getting you to apologize to them. Oh, David, you made a lot of mistakes expressing this. We want you to, they don't ask for apology, but they coerce you, they put you in a state that you're now the perpetrator. They are the victim. They are projecting you a mindset that you are the perpetrator and then they are the victim. And then they want you to apologize to the people who are in the separate mindset. Now, once you apologize to them, say, oh, I'm sorry, yeah, maybe the expression is not quite aligning to your standard. And then when they hear your apology, they go to the next step. They get you to concede that your expression is the wrong expression, your divine expression, your expression of oneness is the wrong expression, and they get to concede that it is wrong. Again, they'll make you feel like you're the perpetrator and they're the victim. These people are on a separate mindset, on a mind of separation. They feel that they're being wronged. They're the victims. You're the perpetrator. And of course, once you concede, yeah, you know what, maybe I shouldn't be expressing this. And then they go to the third step, which is the submission phase. They get you to submit to the standard. They get you to submit to the standard because you're the perpetrator who expresses oneness, who brings new ideas you shouldn't be bringing. So you're the perpetrator, that we're the victims, the one that's listening or the one that's harassing me to get me to change. So they get me to first apologize to them, and then they get me to concede to their standard, and then finally, as the final game, they get me to submit to their standard. And then they verify that I have submitted to their standard by checking on me. And once they realize that I have submitted to the standard, they'll just let me go. Because they know, once I have the standard in my mind, every expression I make has to go through this standard. Anything, any subtle thing It has to go through the standard. So the fear that I have in me when I try to express oneness, when I was working for the technology company, the company that I worked for 26 years, and I was fearful of being a whistleblower. I've seen some of the things that are not right. I want to say it, but I cannot say. Because what happened? Because when I was a young child, my dad beat me up and basically said that you have to lie. If you don't lie, I'm going to beat you up again with a rattan stick. So I submitted to that standard. The standard was I have to lie. And if I don't lie, I will face punishment. And of course, when I want to tell the truth about the company as a whistleblower, it's going against the standard in my mind. And it took me a while for me to realize, hold on a second, why am I here? I'm here to express oneness. If I see the truth, if I'm the child that sees the emperor has no clothes, why am I afraid of expressing that? What causes me to be afraid of expressing that? So there's something in my mind that's stopping it. There's nothing stopping me to express oneness. But there is something stopping me to express oneness because I have taken on the standard. I have submitted to a standard. And if you look at your own life throughout the years, I'm pretty sure that you have taken on a lot of subtle standards that you think is normal, that you think is how you should behave, but is nonetheless a standard that you have taken on. And now what happened? Where did you put your concentration? Where do you put your focus on now? Whenever you want to express certain things, all of a sudden you have to consult your myriads, your collection of standards in your mind. And all you're doing is referring to the standard, checking on the standard, making sure, okay, what I'm saying is conforming to the standard. And if I'm not saying the right things, that is not conforming to a standard, then I shall be punished. I shall remember the experience of being needing to apologize for me expressing something new, for me being to concede in shame to those people that makes me feel like I'm the perpetrator and they're the victims. And then to submit to them, even though it wasn't my mistake. So you have all this fear. It's a little standard that's in your mind. It's actively in your mind. It's not outside of you. It's not part of Buddha nature. A standard is not part of Buddha nature because it wasn't created as part of Buddha nature. A stone is Buddha nature. A flower is Buddha nature. Your body in your being is Buddha nature. But a standard is not Buddha nature. A standard is a creation so that people can control you, how you express, how you should behave. Because as a connected being, what are you doing? You are always aligning your identity and your behaviors and your being to your higher self, to your I am presence. That is your true identity. You don't need to align and take on thousands of standards to behave a certain way. You behave how you want to behave based on your I am presence, based on your higher self. So how can you be co-creative? Or how can you create creatively something new if it's a lot of standards that you were made to submit to or you have taken on that you actually sometimes willingly submit, controlling your expression? And then the beings, people, will then project at you that you shouldn't be violating the standard. So now you're so focused on trying to maintain the standard that you lost your way, and you don't know that you are allowed to express something new. You have the permission from God to express what God wants you to express. And you have the permission from the ascended masters, the beings of light, that you're allowed to express what you want to express from above, from a higher source. You don't need to meet a certain standard. Yes, you will be ridiculed, you will be shamed. That's why I'm sharing my insights to you. How the process is that it goes first is to get you to apologize. Second is to get you to concede that your expression is not the right expression, that you must concede to a standard defined by them. And then third, to get you to submit to the standard that they defined. So when you recognize all this way of getting you from expressing something and then getting you to apologize for your expression and then conceding that your expression is wrong and then submitting to a standard, then you know you have been lured or manipulated to take on a standard. And that is one of the focus that Buddha wants us to focus on, is to focus on that you have the permission to express something new. You know that it's okay if they refuse or reject your expression. That's up to them if they want to accept the expression or not. But they don't have the right to make you feel like you're the perpetrator for bringing something new. You're the one that caused them to be upset, to react, and to cause them to fight back and hurt you. They don't have that right. You have the right to express yourself. And when you're focused on being a connected being, on being the Buddha nature, you will express whatever comes through your mind from the higher source. And you don't have to be afraid to express that. Because sometimes, yes, it happens to me all the time too, that although thankfully it's getting less and lesser, is that when I express something, somebody then attack me and then will try to get me to apologize for expressing the things that I express. And it gets me to that stage of wanting to apologize. But if you think about that for a moment, who is apologizing? Who is apologizing to these people for expressing something new? Obviously not my higher self or my presence. Why would they need to apologize to these beings? They are not ascended masters. They are unascended beings. Why would I am presence, pure awareness, higher self need to apologize to these beings on earth for expressing a certain divine knowledge, a divine wisdom? So it's not really my higher self or my presence that is apologizing. And I realized it wasn't, because it was something else. It was my outer selves. It was the outer selves I created in the past life when I was traumatized by these people, or traumatized the same way. May not be by these people, but in the same way that I was traumatized by expressing something new. And then I created outer selves that helped me avoid re-experiencing the same need to apologize, the experiencing the need to be shamed. So I want to avoid that. But how can I express something new if I want to avoid that kind of experience? And you feel in your heart, you feel like, oh, I don't want to express. It feels like really scary. I don't want to be shamed. I don't want to apologize. I don't want to concede to people. I don't want to submit to people. But then again, if you focus on yourself, on your higher self, you know all these feelings that you feel, the fear that in you, it's not really from your higher self. It's not from your I am presence. It's coming from something else inside of you. It's from your ego. It's from your outer selves. But of course, how do you come out from this? Well, if you focus on your higher self, on your I am presence as a connected being, what does it your higher self give you if you see the Buddha nature in yourself? You see a frame of reference of what is that connection. And when you are pulled out of that connection, just like a cell phone, a smartphone, when you lost the connection with the internet, what do you immediately do? What sort of a frame of reference do you have when you are pulled out of that connection? You automatically look for the bar. How many bars do you have, right? On a smartphone. If you have no bars, you have no connection, there's like, it says no connection, then you know you don't have an internet connection. You don't have a cell network connection. So you have that frame of reference. Oh, the reason why my phone is not working, it cannot make calls, is because there is no cell network. The same thing with yourself. This higher concentration is that the focus, you keep your focus on your higher self. Now, once in a while, you get pulled out of that focus, of that connection from your higher self. And then you get pulled, and then you feel the struggle, you feel the fear, and then you feel that you need to apologize. But then you step back and realize, by stepping back, it might mean you surrender to the standard, because what pulls you out of oneness, out of the connection, is that there is a standard still in you. And then you are thinking, you're focusing on that standard. That standard is in your mind that you're focused on, and then you're doubting yourself. You say, oh, I am violating the standard. Maybe that person has a point. I am violating the standard. And so you pull yourself temporarily out of the connection with your higher self, your I am presence, and then you're now stuck in the state of suffering, because now you're always thinking, oh, how can I make up the standard? How do I make myself up to conform to the standard? But do you have to make up? Do you have to abide your expression, align your expression from the divine, from above, to that standard? Do you? You don't. You don't have to abide by a human standard defined by them. You just express it, and if they don't like it, tough luck. Because you put new ideas already out in the physical. That's light. That's the new expression. That new expression can be used by other people to help them raise their sense of awareness. You already put it out there. That's why these people felt threatened, because it is threatening their universe. Anytime you put a new expression out there, it threatens their sense of being. Because they know that they're a connected being, they're using so much force, so much energy, so much effort to separate themselves from oneness. So anything that comes in, the new expression that allows them to reunite with their higher self, they feel threatened, because their sense of separation, their sense of identity is being challenged. So, of course, they will get you to conform to the expression that they want, which is their standard, but you cannot express something new based on anyone's standard. You can only express something new if you let go of any standards that you have in your mind that prevent you from expressing what you need to express. And that was what it took me some time for me to make this video. because I had to overcome several standards myself before I can make this video. Because there are certain things I want to say, but I couldn't say it. There's something resisting. There's something for me that I couldn't focus on wanting to say, wanting to put on this video. So that I hope by you watching this video, self-reflect on yourself. What is stopping you from co-creating something new? What is stopping you from making a better life for yourself? There's something in your mind, a standard, a very benign, harmless standard. That's why they are benign and harmless, because you don't notice them. But as soon as you want to express something new, they are stopping you from expressing something new because they make you feel fearful that you are violating the standard. Just like you're driving a car, and the only fearful thing that you always keep a lookout on is the speed limit. Because you don't want to violate the speed limit. Otherwise, you may get a ticket. You see, that's a standard too. Although it's a good standard to keep everyone safe, so no one is speeding. Especially when you're on a school zone, everybody should be driving reasonably safe and slow so that the kids out there are safe to cross the streets. But nonetheless, there are standards to keep some people safe. There's certain standards, like in a democratic country, there are certain laws and standards that people have to abide to so that people behave a certain way. But what I'm talking about is when you are expressing something new, it's actually an expression to help society move forward. And sometimes society has certain laws and rules. They may no longer be helpful to move society forward. And when you are meant to express something new and to bring society forward, sometimes certain people may express certain ways. They may have a different look. They call themselves maybe socialists or someone who is threatening democracy and so forth. But if you were to just tune in to what they say, if it's a new idea that can help bring change to society and not bring harm to society, and you tune in the vibration of their expression with your heart, this is called the Christ discernment. You tune into that vibration, and you can sense the vibration is high. It's pulling you up. And it has some radical new ideas. Why not take a look? Why not listen to it? Instead of trying to force that new expression from other people to conform to your standard, sometimes even you yourself have that standard. And you can benefit from yourself being able to raise your own sense of awareness by listening to other people, tuning in first to the vibration of the expression, and then focusing yourself to your higher self and listen to the idea. Maybe there's something you can pick up. Maybe there's something you can use to help yourself raise your sense awareness. So instead of judging everybody, that's not what the right way to say, and that's not the right way to express. Oh, you make a mistake, you must apologize, you must concede, and you must submit. No. You listen. If it doesn't apply to you, you can walk away. You don't need to force other people to submit to your sense of universe. But if it is there to help you, then you focus on the expression. You focus on yourself to use whatever the expression is to help you raise your sense of awareness. What is not good about that? Because there are many people out there who have the gifts to express something new, something higher. And why not listen to some of these people? As long as you tune into their vibration, if it's a high vibration, listen. If it's a low vibration, why would you need to listen? And then take it, listen to it, and tune in. If it resonates with you and it can help you internalize yourself with the new ideas and help yourself raise your sense of awareness, that's the highest potential outcome of higher concentration. Higher concentration is for you to continue to align with your higher self, align with and deepen your connection with the connected whole. And then you see more and more that everything is a Buddha nature, and then everything on earth is not a threat to you, but a potential gift for you to grow spiritually. You see everything as being a way for you to grow, not a way that you feel threatened, that you feel you need to defend yourself. So, I hope that my talk is helpful. As usual, please subscribe to my channel if you feel like you want to follow me. And also, I thank you for spending some time listening to my talks. Until next time, this is David saying goodbye.